Hey everyone, welcome back to the Chefpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Andres Hinojosa. I have an amazing guest. I'm actually super excited to talk to him today. And before I bring him up and bring him into the show, I just want to remind you guys that we go live every Tuesday, unless we don't have a guest for our podcast, but we go live every Tuesday here on YouTube at 1 o'clock Eastern. Make sure that you like our videos, that you like this live, as well as subscribe to the channel. And so with all that being said, I like to just kind of preface that this is a very special chef to me. In fact, I think we'll get into some of the conversation about something special that he helped me with personally in my life, but has also allowed us the opportunity to mentor and coach him. And that's none other than Chef Christopher Litz. He's from Savannah, Georgia, and his business is called The Curated Chef. So we helped him develop. And so let's go ahead and bring him on the show and get this party started. Chef, how are you doing today, man? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing great. How about you?
Oh, man, I am blessed, man. I am blessed. It's so good to have you on, and really excited about our conversation today. And yeah, thank you for spending the time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a lot of good conversations over the past year and a half or so. So I really enjoy our conversations and our chit chat that we get to have every once in a while. So yeah,
Man.
I love it.
Well, that being said, man, I'd like you to just kind of, Chef, just kind of let us know a little bit about you. I want to dive into you and your background and your experience and kind of spill your guts here on the podcast. We'd love to just get to know you more and what you're all about. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I was born and raised in upstate New York. So spent my childhood there, and then went to school for environmental science up in the Adirondack Mountains of New York. Got my associate's degree, and then was going towards my bachelor's degree to get my bachelor's in environmental science. And so I was one class short. I decided I wanted to become a chef. So I dropped out of school and went to culinary school and little school in upstate New York, Schenectady Community College, right across the bridge from where I grew up. And so I did that took me 2.5 years to do it because I was working too. And I did take one semester off. And then I had the pleasure of working with a chef right at the end of my studies there. His name was Chef Bradley. And he was the executive chef for the Culinary Institute of America in Napa, St. Louis, Napa. So so I helped him do a demonstration, and the day of the demonstration, I had forgotten to put something in his kit, and I wasn't even supposed to be at school that day, so I drove my ass there and walked right on the stage and gave it to him right when he needed it, thank God, and just left. And then who is the dean of the students, called me later that day and said that Chef Bradley wanted to offer me a job. And so I accepted, obviously, and never went to my graduation and moved right to Napa as soon as I was done with school. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So wait, you went to community college in upstate New York, correct?
Yeah.
Or the culinary department. And then you said that pretty much got this job offer and moved all the way out to California at that point.
Yep. Yeah. Me and my brother hopped in the car and took about a week to drive out there, did some fishing and stuff. And he got me settled into Napa I lived in Angwin, which is up on top of the mountain and above Calistoga and St. Helena. So that's where I first started living there. And he got me settled in there and then left me there all by myself.
Well, that's how it goes, man. Spoken like a true man. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Now, just kind of a little sidebar question. I'm just actually curious. I'm currently coaching a chef named Andrew. Shout out to Chef Andrew. He's an awesome guy, a young guy, really passionate about his business and helping him get really his business going. And he's actually in Ithaca. How far were you from Ithaca growing up?
Ithaca is about 3.5 hours. I was actually just in upstate New York about a month ago, and with my girlfriend Stephanie, and we actually took a ride to Ithaca.
Oh, nice!
Okay, beautiful little city. It's really beautiful. I can't remember the name of the lake it's on, but it's cool, and it's got college campuses, and it's on these hills. It's so cool, and they got waterfalls in town and stuff. And that was the first time I'd ever been there, but it was really beautiful. She had family there, so we went out and visited them and spent the day in Ithaca. Yeah, it was awesome. About
That's
3 hour
awesome.
drive. Yeah,
Yeah, he was telling me that it is a really beautiful little city and kind of a little bit more upscale. A lot of it's a college town, but kind of a nice, quaint,
yeah,
aspect to it. So that's
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah.
So you're in Napa now, and you said that your chef kind of left you. Tell me about that. Does that mean like he
Well, no,
moved
my
back?
brother left me.
Oh,
My
your
brother
brother
just
left you.
brought
I'm
me
sorry.
there,
Okay.
and so I started working at the Culinary Institute at that point. And so within 6 months, I started out, doing salads and all that kind of stuff. And then within 6 months, I was the sous chef. Um, so that was quite the experience to, in 6 months, learn the whole kitchen and actually be kind of promoted above all the CIA grads, So it was um, pretty awesome experience for me to be able to, kind of shine in an environment where all my colleagues were graduates of the Culinary Institute of America,
Yeah,
and to be
that's
able
a
to
pretty cool
shine and
thing.
become the sous chef was pretty awesome experience. I learned a ton there. Um,
Pretty prestigious school, CIA. I mean, that is saying a lot about your work ethic, and obviously the chef seeing something in you as well. So, what year was this, chef? What year was this around?
97, 8, 97,
Okay.
98, something like that. Yeah, because I remember doing in 2000 we did a huge New Year's Eve dinner there. That was the most craziest expediting experience I've ever experienced, but that's a whole story right there. Yeah, so I was at the CIA, and then chef. We did a bunch of like guest chef series, and as we didn't really have a chef it for like a little bit of time, so we are doing these kind of guest chef series, and we had like Joyce Goldstein come in,
Oh, nice.
and a couple other locally known chefs would come in and do dinners and kind of stuff like that. But Joyce was there for a while, a few months that she kind of took over the restaurant, and so I got to learn from Joyce Goldstein a lot. That was awesome. And then during these chef dinners, I didn't really realize it when I was working there, but they were interviewing for a new chef. And then
Oh,
the final dinner they did was with a gentleman who's my mentor now, who taught me so much, Chef Todd Humphreys. And he came, and everybody in the kitchen kind of knew that this was going to be the chef coming in, and a lot of people bounced, and they were nervous, and like you could stay and like help do dinner and stuff, and I stayed and helped them and all that, and just it was amazing because the food he did compared to what we were doing with Joyce, which is kind of more homey kind of food, it was really more fine dining and quite the experience to watch it. I remember the first course was a kohlrabi ravioli stuffed with foie gras, and it was just to watch the guys do it. I didn't really have a hand in it, but I just watched how they did it and stuff. It was cool.
no,
And
that sounds
so
pretty cool.
yeah, so that's how I met Todd, um, and so I was going to leave Napa and I was going to move back to New York. And so I put my notice in. I was, going back to New York, and he sat me down in the office and he said, "Well, why don't you go back to New York for the summer, and then why don't you move back out to Napa at the end of the summer, because I'm going to be leaving also." And nobody knew, and because he's working on a restaurant with Pat Coletto, who's a big restaurant kind of design guy out there in Napa, San Francisco. And so we opened Martini House at the end of that year, and I was the chef de cuisine um, with him, and we earned one Michelin star. So that was another awesome experience. That was quite intense. And we did that. The restaurant was open for 10 years.
Wow.
10 years. We shut that down, and then we opened another restaurant, which I'm a partner in, called Kitchen Door. Um, Obviously, I'm not there anymore, um, but I still have equity in the restaurant.
Oh,
So
okay.
and I care about those guys very much. So, and um,
So you were at that one establishment for 10 years,
Yeah,
solid.
Martini House was 10 years. Yeah.
Wow, okay. And then you moved on to this other new restaurant that you guys had, shut that down, moved into another restaurant concept, and
Yeah.
how long were you there? I know you're still equity partner.
That was five. I was there 5 years.
Okay,
So
wow.
yeah. So that Todd and I basically worked together for close to 20 years. So
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, from the time you went out to California, Napa, I mean, I'm kind of doing the math here. That's over 25 years of just, real true experience in culinary arts in the sense of like restaurant style. And then, you
yeah.
know, basically a huge portion of that was working with Chef Todd. So was he like not only a big influence, but would you consider him like kind of that mentor in your life?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. With his experience, he was in New York City for a long time. He worked for Chef Greg Coons. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him, but he's a pretty big name chef in the city. He
Oh,
worked
huge
at
chef. Yeah,
Quilted
huge chef.
Draft and all
Yep.
that kind of stuff with Gray. And so it's quite an honor to kind of be kind of placed into that pedigree of chef. It's like, wow, it's
That's a
just
big
kind of
deal.
mind
Yeah.
blowing that to just be a part of it, and have that experience of just great minded chefs, of learning just kind of flavor combinations and techniques and and then all the business side of it too, the all the being a boss, making schedules, prep lists, all that kind of stuff. So it was
All
quite
that
an honor to be
unofficial
able
fun
to
stuff.
work with Todd and learn from him. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. So fast forward kind of, you said you worked with Chef Todd around 20 years.
Yep.
And so you guys stopped working together ish, maybe
I
2019 ish.
yeah. Right around 2019, 2018, something like that. And so I was in touch with a buddy of mine who actually got in touch with me. He was one of my first. He actually was the first extern that we hired to work at Martini House. So he helped us open Martini House as a an intern, and he was from the New England Culinary Institute up in Vermont. And so after his stint with us, he moved back to Alabama, and he worked for Frank Stint and Chris Hastings down in Alabama. And then he opened his own restaurant called Camellia Cafe. And he was struggling for a little bit there. So he kind of reached out to me, and I was getting ready to leave California and getting ready to kind of head back east, be closer to my family. So I went to Alabama Fairhope and helped him revive his restaurant. I was there 4 years, 4.5 years. In 3 of those years, we earned Best Fine Dining in Alabama for 3 years. So
Oh, wow.
that was quite an experience too of working in a much smaller scale restaurant with like three cooks, as compared to working at those other restaurants where I had 20 cooks a day, 10 in the morning, 10 at night, and so it was more intimate kind of feel. Um, yeah, so it was a different experience for sure, and it was fun. It was a fun time, and then COVID kind of hit, and everything kind of went a little haywire there. And after that, we got it back opened up, and then I was like, I'm going farther east. I'm going to go get with my family. So um, that brought me to Savannah. And that's where I'm at now.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, Chef, you can hear me, right? Because
Yeah,
it looks like I'm frozen. For some reason, my camera is not working here, so I apologize,
yeah, I
everybody.
can hear you fine. Yeah, you are frozen there.
That's weird. Okay, so uh, don't know what's going on, but it happened.
Yep,
Let me
there
see
you
if
are. I can see a side
well,
view.
that's my side. There we go.
There you go.
Let's see if I can reset myself. All right, there we go.
There you
So
go.
that was interesting. It's never happened before live on the show. So there we go. It's a first for everything. All
It's
right.
part about being a
Um,
chef. You got to be able to adapt, right?
you got to be able to adapt, man. You got to be able to adapt. Yeah, that came from my other side view, and I'm like, nope. I gotta. So when you were okay, so how did we transition a little bit more into kind of wanting to start a personal chef business. I mean, where,
Okay.
how did that start to kind of transpire?
Well, when I got to Savannah, I have my family here. My little brother's married to the into the Tran family, and Ellie Tran is a big restaurateur in Savannah. And so I took a corporate chef job with Ellie, um, and kind of overseeing and reviving some menus and stuff like that. Um, and it was a challenge for me, to say the least. We worked with a lot of migrant workers, and I was used to that in California with them speaking Spanish. I could speak Spanish, but these people, these folks were Lao, Thai, Vietnamese, and so I was dealing with like four different languages that I couldn't understand, and but it was a quite an experience and fun, and it just didn't work out. It wasn't a fit for me. I wasn't a fit for them, so we kind of parted ways. And the day that my last day of work there, I came home and I was kind of like, what am I going to do? And I sat down, I was going through my computer on Facebook, and Chefpreneur shows up. And so I looked at it and I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. And so I signed up for the first free one, the free thing, and went through that. And yeah, and then just kind of really got hooked on becoming my own boss and running my own business and becoming a chefpreneur. Um,
It's awesome.
and I'm so glad I did. So yeah,
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, um, it actually really, and I know you pretty well, but I guess I didn't know as deep of the story, to be honest, from the kind of the roots of it all. One of
yeah,
the things that really caught me about your story so far is just there was such a huge block where you had of your whole career, like a huge piece of your career where obviously you were in a role of leadership, chef de cuisine, leading the restaurant, but still having that mentor with Chef Todd. And that had to be, I'll be honest, it has to be a little bit of a hard transition at times. Like, when you're kind of, I guess you would say, number two for so long and you respect somebody so much. My mentor, Chef Jason, I was next to him and by his side, not for nearly as long as you, but really was the voice of reason in my mind. But it was always this one thing where you're loving that time with them and you're loving that learning experience from them. But then at some point it kind of trips you where it's like, or triggers you where you're like, I really, really want to do something for me, right? Something for
yeah,
myself. And it's not a diss to the mentor or whoever you're working with. It's more of just your journey and what you're
yeah,
wanting to
absolutely.
do, So, and I'm really glad you found us. I mean, I'm really glad you found us. I'd like to dive into, um, your business, the Curated Chefs. I really want to kind of
Absolutely.
dive in a little bit to give maybe even guests that are watching this podcast or, people that are looking to hire a chef in Savannah, obviously check out the Curated Chefs. I mean, probably one of the best there, if not the best, of course. That's the goal.
That
But
is the
tell us,
goal.
tell us a little bit about your business. So I know that you started working with Chefpreneur. I believe it was really only in 2023. Where was it the challenge that you signed up for? I think you maybe signed
Yeah,
up
it
for the
was the
challenge.
5 day challenge. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The 5 day challenge, and I won the knife.
you
I
did.
won
You
the
won the
chef
knife,
knife.
which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we ended up talking, and we helped you build out your whole brand, which was pretty awesome. I know that
Yeah.
that was part of you were in our accelerator program at the time.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about just I really think it's important for people to hear. Um, I mean, obviously, there's ups and downs in any business. Actually, I'm sending out an email today. I just kind of had it on my heart, like the three things I wish I didn't know, or
Yeah.
the three things I wish I knew. I'm sorry, when I started my business was, uh, number one, you don't know what you don't know, right? I mean, so when you were thinking about doing something like this, what did you feel like you didn't know? I'm just kind of curious
Any
for
of
other
it.
people. Any of it.
Any of
Okay.
it, really. I mean, because it was such a, like you said, being number two, I wasn't the creator of Martini House or Kitchen Door for that matter. I was just, um, a leader, and kind of kind of herding all the people to the where they needed to be.
Yeah.
I wasn't the visionary of it. I just was more of the executioner of it, like making sure everything went in its place and everything. So when I made the transition from doing that kind of business into meeting you and doing the 5 day challenge and then moving into starting to build my business, I was at ground zero. Really, I
Yeah.
really didn't know what to do. I didn't have any of it, and that's why it was such a blessing. And I say it blessing because it was that that day when I came across you and Chefpreneur, it was the start of a new beginning for me, and without you guys, I think that I would probably still be in the beginning stages of it, and even probably um, maybe back to a chef job, like a 9 to 5 job, because there's a
Mhm.
lot entailed with it. And you guys with the program really kind of lay it out and keep it so organized that the step-by-step process is just spot on for what you need to do and when you need to do it, and to be able to get your business up and running. And so I was blessed in the fact that I was fortunate enough to not have a job at the time and able to just kind of jump full force, full time into building my own business. And
Yeah.
uh, and following the program.
I actually remember right when you started with us. And again, it's it's not all about our programs here on the podcast. Clearly,
No,
we love your journey and honestly are interested. And because I think it's also inspiring for other people. Just you know, you're still a youngin, okay, at heart as well. Okay, you're not in your 80s or anything, but as we get older as chefs, I think it's sometimes a little bit scary, right? To kind of feel like, I got to learn some of these skills, but then there's so much confidence coming from your cooking ability, and I really believe that is one thing that I have noticed from me. But I remember when we started together, working together more, one on one, kind of in our business build out as we started building your business, and I remember you kind of saying you were at ground zero and things like that, but it's funny because as far as like your cooking ability, that's not the issue at all. It was more of like, hey, and I remember you specifically saying, hey, I don't have a full-time job right now. My full-time job is building this, right?
yeah,
And you were going through the trainings, you were actually learning and taking the assignments and actually, putting it to, really actually putting the rubber to the road. And, you know, I just want to ask you, like, for you to mention to anybody watching this or will watch this, like, how was that transition mentally for you to feel like you were the number two for so long with a gentleman, with another chef who sounds like an amazing guy? I'd love to meet Chef Todd one day. And then moving into like, I hate to say like not good fits in the job place. And I think maybe you'll agree with me on this. I think the industry has changed so much just in the last 10 years, let alone the last 20, 30 years. And I wouldn't say for the better. I mean, as far as
right,
like culinary industry,
yeah,
Um, and so, things are so prepackaged processed now. I mean, even larger outfits. I mean, even when I was at the convention center in San Diego as a Garmin J chef, it was like we were ordering a lot of pre-cut diced tomatoes and I'm thinking there's no way this is cheaper than like our prep cook. But then, we were all the line cooks were union. And I was like, actually, maybe it is cheaper
yeah.
than having them dice all these tomatoes. Right. But I mean, how was that transition mentally for you? Do you feel like it was a difficult thing? Do you feel like it was super scary mentally? Or do
It
you feel
was
like, just
it
tell me.
was a little nerve wracking, just the unknown. I mean, more so
Yeah,
than anything. But
sure.
I had, I had the support of my family, and I really, really leaned on them hard in making the decision um, to do it. And they were very supportive. So that really put my mind at ease to just go for it. It's just like screw it. It's time. I need. I just being in that corporate position really kind of opened my eyes to where I really didn't have control over the happiness of the guests.
Mm,
And
Wow, that's a good one.
And
Yeah,
that was important to me, very, very important to me. And you know, like being at Kitchen Door and being at Martini House and being in Community Cafe, I was in front of the customers. You know, I would go out and talk to people, and you know, Martini House was an open kitchen, Kitchen Door was an open kitchen, so people would come and talk to you. You know, and I really, really, really missed that interaction with the customers and the clients. You know, and so it was just kind of like, wow, I'm going to be able to do that full time now. And it's going to be different every time I do it. And I'm going to meet so many cool people, and I get to be super creative because now I can write a menu every time, and it's different every time, you know? So, yeah, it was nerve wracking at the beginning, but once everything just kind of fell in place for me, it was just let it go organically, you know, and I just kind of rode the boat and just kind of, you know, and
wow,
rode it, you know. So, and it's been quite the journey to where I am now from where I started back in August of 23. So,
that's
yeah, and
crazy.
I didn't start taking business till January, really. I just focused on building the back end of it so that my brand was ready to be presented, you know, to people. I
Yeah,
didn't want to go early and not have my brand, thanks to you, that we built together, and just kind of you guys picked the vision out of my brain, to build that concept and the you know the business. So I didn't want to have my brand out there until it was ready, and I'm glad I waited because it's been quite the year. So
that's awesome. Tell
yeah,
us about the year. I'm just really curious. So I know we were talking
yeah,
before the show a little bit about numbers, and you're trying to keep up, you know, and everything like that with it. And again, as a small
yeah.
business, you know, accounting and numbers and everything, but you know, you have a good grasp on it. But you know,
I
tell
do
the folks,
now.
yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
do now. But at the beginning, it was a struggle. You know, it was kind of well, building a new business, and you know, and you run into things that you know, like shoot, I need this kind of some stuff. You know, I need some stuff, and you acquire some stuff to be able to function your business to be able to function more efficiently. You know, whether it be a printer for your office, you know, a desk for your office, build an office. So all
Yeah, I know
those stuff was
you did a whole remodel in your
I
house, which
did.
I love. It was
I
so
did.
cool.
I remodeled my whole
The
office. My
curated chef's
brothers,
headquarters, baby.
yeah, my brothers came and helped me tear out closets, and we tore down closets and turned the spare bedroom into an office, and still a spare bedroom also, but more so an office now. But when we do have guests, we do have a bed in here for them. But actually, we usually sleep in here, and we give them our room. So,
That's nice.
um, so yeah, it's been you know all of it. You know, building storage for my coolers and all that stuff. You know, it takes time, and it just kind of just kept taking on business, and then I need another cooler, and now I need, you know, it's now I need to build another shelf, and now I need to, you know, it was just quite the journey. And now I think now that I'm here about a year into taking business, I think I have all that in place. I got all my equipment I need now, and you know, we were talking before the show and kind of just looking at the numbers, and I put 10% aside of every event to pay taxes. So I have about $10,000 set aside. So that means I did about $100,000 in sales this
Wow.
year. You know, and it was just letting it grow organically. You know, word of mouth, a couple of strategic partners, um, that were are kind of rentals in Hilton Head and rentals in Tybee Beach. I'm blessed to live in a place where there's so much beauty and a lot of tourism.
I love it.
With the historic Savannah, you know, the beautiful beaches on Tybee, the beautiful beaches on Hilton Head. So there's just a lot of demand for the services that we as chefpreneurs offer um, in this area. So I'm blessed, you know.
I mean, six figures your first year in biz is
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you, thank you. I couldn't have done it without Chefpreneur though. I swear to God, because I'd still be building it. You know,
uh,
I didn't have the direction of, okay, you need to get your business license, you need to open up your bank account, you need to do this, you need to do that, all these things, you know, that I would have thought of over time, but to have it laid out for me
yeah,
in a precise manner just really helps the process of opening, getting it running, you know, and just kind of gives you a benchmark of where to start. You know, it's like, and then everything will evolve to where to your business. You know, so you know, it's not everything isn't to the T of Chefpreneur anymore, but it gave me that benchmark starting point where I could figure out what's best for my business. You know,
yeah.
so yeah, it's
Yeah, and I
been
think
awesome.
that I say that all the time, right? Like, our method or our recipe, it's going to vary. It's the method and the recipe that we teach and what we do and take chefs through. It's a 90% their foundation, right? And then just like anything else, right? A basic bechamel sauce, but then you put a little twist on it. Hey, I want to do this with it, or and that's really the beauty of it. But the really big thing is the foundational principles of the business, and knowing this business directly and personally, and it works, right? I mean, the system works, and then you adapt and you
Absolutely
evolve,
does.
and it starts to grow. And so that's really awesome, and I'm really proud of you, chef. Like, honestly, like, it brings me so much joy to hear that. And it's bigger, I think, maybe than we realize of what's possible. One question I like to ask people is, do you believe you would be in this position if you really were told this a year and a half ago? You know what I mean?
No, I mean I didn't. You know, it was an unknown, but no, I don't really think. Um, well, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess it was a vision, right? I mean, I guess that's the vision I had. So I guess it just making it the possibilities, putting in the hard work, right?
That's
So
it.
you need
That's it.
that's it. You know, so I guess yes, I did have that vision. I didn't know that it would be six figures in my first year. I think in more like that was going to be my second year, but um,
That's good.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
And it takes time. Again, anything takes time. Anything worth doing takes time.
yeah,
I truly believe when you have things to speed up processes, and there's processes that, I mean, we taught you SOPs on things. I'm sure you're following our sales calls, our sales structure. I mean, those things are like bulletproof stuff. And
yeah,
and those are the foundations that most chefs really don't even know. So there's the building of the business, which has to be done right. And then there's the running of the business, which should be done right. And then there's influential things. But again, one of the biggest things is I just continue to I love hearing any success stories. I mean, it doesn't have to just be with Chefpreneur, of course. We love, I mean, because at the end of the day, man, like, so many of us chefs, I want to see us win. I want to
yeah,
see every chef win. And a lot of chefs just don't believe things are possible, which is sad. Me pretty well now. Part of my gift that I love to kind of dive into, that I feel that God has given me, is encouragement, and giving the gift of encouragement. And some people say, well, that's just hoopla stuff. That's just here or there hoopla. But really, it's a lot of times 80% of what actually gets people to keep going or
yeah,
believe in themselves to begin with.
yeah,
And because I know the potential, when I first met you, I know the potential. Um, Really, I'm a really good judge of character when I talk to chefs, and when I have, consultations with them and things like that. And I just see their potential. And sometimes I see their potential. Actually, a lot of times I see their potential a lot more than they do in themselves. And so sometimes I'm over here like grinding my teeth, like, I'm so like, I'm trying to, you know, I want to convey that as much as possible, but there's only so much that I can get them to quote unquote believe in until they kind of believe in it themselves. And so, what I do see and what I have seen in you that's changing your countenance since I even first met you, chef, is the level of confidence that you have. Like, not in your cooking, that's been confident for, since I met you, but now you're starting to see the business. You're being more comfortable on making those moves, even with changes and things, and not changes, but like, you know, nuances of the business and the
yeah,
direction it's heading, right? And then looking at pricing and looking at things where it's like, you were decently confident working with me there because I can gauge people. And sometimes some chefs, when I'm coaching them, are like super, I'm just like, you're charging way too little, and they want to stay there for a little bit because it's a little bit of a comfort of like, I don't know if I'm good enough. And then after 6 months, like, oh damn, like I got to raise my price. This is too
Yeah.
much value for people. But
Yeah.
I've seen this transformation of confidence, and clients can read that a mile away, right? And so tell us really quick, give us a little pitch on the curated chefs for anybody listening who would want to hire a chef in Savannah. Like, give us a pitch, man, on your company.
Sure. Yeah. Um, use fresh local ingredients as much as I can with the seasons. Um, and we know we like to be able to supply instant gratification for our clients, so that when we show up, the worries are over. They can sit back, relax, and just kind of enjoy their day, their evening, or their time with their guests, and not have to worry about anything else. And we bring the full service with us. I bring servers with me. We do soup to nuts, set the table, serve. Train all my service staff to do proper table service. Pour wine, water, drop a napkin, get them a new napkin, all that kind of stuff. So it's really the attention to detail that we offer that kind of sets us apart from other personal chefs in the area for sure. Um, and it's an elegant kind of casual fine dining experience in the comfort of your own home or vacation rental. Um,
I love it.
and I think it kind of has shown through. I mean, with throughout this year, I've done, I don't know how many events, but I've already, my clients feel it because I've seen like 30 5-star reviews now in 1 year.
Awesome.
So that's just kind of says a lot about the business and the just the integrity that we demand of ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, with my my girlfriend Stephanie helps me a lot. She'll own the kind of front part of it when we're doing the serving and making sure the guests are comfortable while they're eating and all that. But I'm also there doing that also. But I also have to cook, so I can't be at the table all the time. So yeah, and then I have servers that are on board, and just kind of explain to them the importance of it. That this isn't just a job to make extra money. This is my business, and then you need to be able to represent the curated chefs when you go to uh, an event with me. And
Yeah.
so I've been blessed to have some really good people um, come help me and really care about what I'm doing and what they do to help me. So
It's great.
it just translates to the clients having just a super good time. And I explain to my clients that every time is special, for me to be able to serve them, and we develop a menu catered to exactly what they want to do, and what they want to eat. And, I get the likes and dislikes from them, and then I write a menu and we'll go back and forth 5 times. Sometimes no times I just like the menu, so it's the process. That is just seamless, and that's the process that I learned from you guys, is just making it really seamless for the client, and it just takes any pressure off of them to plan their event. It's just you explain, you take control of the conversation when you get them on the phone, and you just put them at ease. This is what's going to happen, and you're going to be happy at the end of it. So, yeah,
I
yeah,
love it. Well, thank you for sharing, Chef. And man, just so awesome to hear your story full circle. So, what I'd like to do now in the podcast is just kind of flip the script a little bit, man, and let you ask me some questions on
sure,
anything that you want answers to or that you're just curious about. I've had some chefs on the show that have asked me some really good questions that I had to think about, to be honest, personal questions about things. And so it could be anything. I'd like to kind of hand the mic to you, per se.
yeah. I did. I thought of one question while we were having our conversation ahead of the podcast, and I know you have dinner with a chef.
Yeah,
And I kind of just want to ask you, what's your plan with Dinner with a Chef, and yeah, what do you foresee with Dinner with a Chef?
that's a good question. So as of right now, I mean, that's big part of my income as a personal chef company. I haven't cooked for a client in almost 3 years. I mean, a couple here and there in Georgia, but really have a great team behind it. A great executive chef, Chef Daniel Ferdui. Shout out to him, who runs the day to day on that, and it's a great thing. I'd kind of the vision for that is to be a platform for chefs. The vision with what we're doing at Chefpreneur is constantly growing, and it's not really, I wouldn't say evolving in the sense of what Chefpreneur is for. It's existing to help chefs such as yourself, like we did, build a very successful business and a company for themselves. That's never going to change. As a byproduct, we have amazing chefs as yourself that are out there, right, with their own companies. And you know, I'm gonna disclose as much as possible here. Who knows who's watching this, but I don't know if there's any competitors. No, I'm just joking. But realistically, as a byproduct of Chefpreneur, we just built an amazing network of chefs, just like I said, just like you, that have an amazing company. They're vetted. In fact, I was going to bring up a little bit that, for those of you guys that won't know, and many of you won't, but, you know, Chef Chris blessed us by coming and helping out with my daughter's Sweet 16 birthday party.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
that
and I
was
got to
a lot
meet
of
Chef
fun.
Daniel too, and that was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. We all
Brock
cooked
and
together, and
yeah,
Brock
it was
and Alfredo, who's one of my
yeah,
best friends as well. And then we had a few other chefpreneurs there. So we had, I think, 4 chefpreneurs there,
yep,
and you were one of them. Anyway, that was a fun time to work together with you guys and make food and have a good time. And I really, first of all, from the bottom of our heart, we really appreciate that. That meant a lot to my daughter and my family.
yeah. It meant a lot to me to be able to be there.
Yeah,
I know that was kind of like a little competition to be able to get chosen to go, and then I didn't win. I'm like, called you up, and I'm like, come on, I want to come anyway. It's like
yeah, yeah. You just kind of
I can
came, man.
drive there. I live
That's
close enough.
called
I'm
that's
coming.
called persistence. I love it. I love it.
I'm
So
coming anyway.
I love that. So, really what that has done is Dinner with a Chef, the vision for it in short is I really see it as a platform for clientele and potential guests for all of our businesses to find the best chefpreneurs in the world. And when I say chefpreneurs, it's like I could say the best personal chefs, but I want to flip the script a little bit more and start encouraging and actually educating the market of the clientele, right? So chefs are starting to learn what chefpreneur is and what our brand is, but again, what we do, our mission. I
Yeah,
really want clientele in the future to know that name as well, saying like, hey, I don't want to hire anybody who's not a chefpreneur officially per se,
yeah,
because I think there's just a standard there. And one of the biggest gaps I see in the market with a lot of these vacation rental companies is they're local. When they're a local business and they partner with someone local like you are the creme of the creme in Savannah, right? So it's like you're partnered with somebody like Chef Chris and Curated Chefs, you're in really good hands. I mean, you don't really have to worry about if his company is going to provide an amazing experience or not. I mean, clearly the reviews speak for themselves, but you have your processes and your system and you're dialed in, and it's creating a good experience for your clientele. Well, that being said, there's a lot of national companies and there's a lot of national concierge vacation rental companies. That's not to say that we're just trying to partner with the big ones. It's even for anybody locally in different cities to say, hey, instead of looking on Yelp and just Google searching chefs, I want to go with Dinner with a Chef, look at the website, and I can see the top chefs in my area that are chefpreneurs. They've gone through a vetting process, they've gone through a stringent of training, but it's their own company. So it's the best of both worlds, right? It's kind of like we teach you guys a system that personally can probably be turned into a franchise if we wanted it to be. But in fact, I've had some of my, I guess you would say, advisors tell me, why didn't you just do a franchise of Dinner with a Chef for all these chefs? But chefs are too creative for that. I think, the vision that God gave me in my heart was not to take away the creativity or take away, your guys' own identity by putting you in a quote unquote box as a franchise. To be honest, it would have been a lot easier to do that, and it would have been probably more lucrative, to be honest, with that. And the businesses probably would have thrived, but I think eventually chefs would have felt like they were being hindered. Not
The
because I
number
didn't create
two,
the menus for
right?
everybody, they would be the number two,
The
exactly.
number two. Yeah,
And that's just not my heart. That wasn't what
yeah,
God told me to do. And so we've taken the the road less traveled and the longer journey to get there, but then it creates amazing success stories like yourself.
yeah,
And so I really see it as a platform in the future of where clients and people can find the best chefpreneurs in the world. And as we grow that network even more, they're going to feel like they're vetted. They're not going to be some,
yeah,
person who God knows who they are. And I won't get into the specifics of how we're going to vet them even more than just us coaching them, but it really allows us to really build a personal relationship and kind of personally verify the people we're working with, and
yeah,
because I was your coach when you invested in our program, you know, there's a reason why I said, yeah, drive on over to my daughter's birthday party, right? There's a
yeah,
reason for that. It wasn't just like, oh, he's a nice guy and I'm going to give him a shot. It's because there was trust there. And so when you know that, and so there's no other brand. If you think about it, we have Thumbtack, we have Fash, we have Bark, we have Take a Chef, we have all these companies, and they're all great in their own perspective of what they're doing. I'm not here to bash any of those companies at all, but none of them can say we have coached the chefs that are on our platform and got to know them on a personal level.
yeah,
And this brings not only more trust to the clientele, but who's going to do all that heavy lifting? No client is going to go out there and vet that deep,
yeah,
right? We've helped you build a brand that attracts people where they go to your website and there's instant trust already, and they're building in that. But then we go a step further for if someone's going to refer their clientele to a personal chef as yourself, they're going to feel like I want some level of standard, and so that's the vision.
yeah,
Time frame wise, I don't know. We're working on things. It's not Chefpreneur. We have an amazing thing that we're doing, and there's just more momentum with helping more chefs, which is exciting. And I was sharing that a little bit with you the other day.
yeah, yeah. We had
And
that conversation. Absolutely.
it's really going to be diving more into more personal coaching and vetting. And so it's actually going to make it even stronger. And so I would expect 2025 we start making some more moves heading in that direction. As of right now, it's
Yeah.
we're partnered
All,
nationally, and things like that. So yeah, that's the vision. That was a good
yeah.
question. Good question.
We've had this conversation before, but the just to have it out there for other people to be able to kind of know about it. But I believe in your vision of this and deeply believe in it, and I think that that with Chefpreneur becoming more of a platform where um, you get that vetted person or the vetted chef who you're going to know what you're getting, and I think it's really going to really with the change of the whole industry that this is going to be something that is going to become forefront in people's minds. It's going to take a little time, but it's going to happen. And I mean, we've had conversations throughout this year too, where I've had clients call me and ask, "Do I know of anybody in A area or B area?"
Yeah,
Because they're traveling, and I've
yeah,
called you, chef, and be like, "Who's there? Who do we got?" And so
yeah,
I can recommend somebody that I trust that that is has been through the process and can run a business and not just do the cooking, but run the business and
yeah.
have the whole package. And I
That's
think that
a great
that's
way of
something
putting
that
it.
Chefpreneur is going to offer potentially the world at some point. You know, it's
Yeah, it's crazy. It's already happening. We might
yeah,
have our first student in South Africa enrolling this week, and we have, one of our podcasts is coming up is in Africa, Chef Richard, and we have a chefpreneur in Pakistan. I mean, it's crazy to me where God has taken this, and I think
yeah,
it's the platform, it's the community. More importantly, I don't, a platform, I guess, is one word. I mean, we've kind of created and try to set a stage for the platform, but the community is what it's about. And it's I wouldn't say it's just a private club. I mean, it's meant for everyone, every chef, every passionate cook. But as you
Absolutely.
kind of dive more into it, there is more of a sense of trust factor and authenticity and who's really with it. And I
Yeah.
just by
And it
you
is a
saying the words
community.
right now, right? Just by you saying the words right now and saying, "Hey, I called chef and said, who do we got?" You
Yeah.
didn't say who do you got. You said who do we got. It
Yeah.
it shows an identity of like we're chefpreneurs. We're both chefpreneurs. Like it's what we do.
Yeah.
So the chefs are really like we really try to position. It's not all about chefpreneur. It really isn't. It's really our movement, right? It's our
Right.
community. And
It's a
so it's just
professional movement. It's a
ex-
professionalism movement,
exactly,
really. You know,
exactly,
it's having that holding our new kind of found um, industry within the industry. You know,
correct, correct.
of and holding it to a standard that needs to be held high. You know,
That's what it is, and that's
you know,
that's a great question, man. I mean, so yeah, that's the biggest that's the vision we have for dinner with a chef, and Brock, who I'm going to have on the podcast soon. He is the founder and CEO of Sue, our software, and him and the team and his development team are working tirelessly on that, and that's continuing to evolve. So really, the big picture is we are really trying on a high level in our trifecta, wanting to help chefs run, build, and grow their business. And the way we're doing that is definitely through coaching and different things. But our software, Sue, if you head over to getsue.com, that's the official Chefpreneur software that
yeah,
is, or that we're partnered with. It's its own software, but it's really meant to help culinary businesses, primarily for personal chefs, to really help
absolutely
them build their business and really grow it and run the operation smooth. And then we have Chefpreneur, who we're here to coach you, guide you, help you build the business and help you market and grow the business. And Dinner with a Chef, again, will also in the future bring leads. That's the goal, is bringing leads and brand awareness to not only you, but to all of us at the same time.
right.
So
Yeah,
that's a great question, Chef. Any
yeah.
other questions you got for me, man?
No, I mean I use Sue, you know, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And you know what I love about Chefpreneur and Sue and all that is that it's not only is it the community, but as you know, I've used your product, obviously, your and the Sue, but it's the when I use it and I find a glitch and I bring it up, it's fit. It's like you're helping the process. I help like kind of bring up
Yeah.
things or glitches or things that need to be or could work a little differently or that would help a chef that's actually using it. And then it's like you guys actually take that information, analyze it, and then implement it in a way that it's going to be effective for everybody that's using it.
I love that. Well, that's
It's a really cool process, and I'm happy and blessed to have found you guys and to be a part of Chefpreneur.
yeah, I appreciate that,
And
Chef.
a part of Sue. I mean, I love using that. It is a game changer with sending invoices and all. It just keeps everything so nice and neat and orderly, and
Yeah,
it's constantly evolving and getting better. So
constantly evolving, and Brock and his team do an incredible job of taking that feedback.
yeah,
That's probably their superpower, is taking the feedback and just wanting to make it better for
yep,
usership features. I mean, they're already, I can't disclose, but he was already telling me some of the features they're already working on. I was like, that's so awesome. Like, that's
yeah. He
crazy.
sent something out yesterday. I think I just saw a bunch of stuff on Sue that's up and coming, and it's going to be great.
It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, they do
Yeah,
an incredible job. The developers over there, everybody, the support team,
yeah,
Giri, Anoop, Syed, obviously Brock. I mean, Vignesh. They're super talented people. That team is a world class team. So I mean, that's the thing, is like we're again, on a higher level. Me and Brock, as kind of owners of all these things, it's really literally, it comes down to just how do we help them win in every front, every aspect if possible. And it's just it's just such an honor and a blessing as well, man, for us to have helped serve you in your journey and accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish and your goals. And you're no longer number two, right? You're number one in the company, your own
yeah.
company. And it's just, the future is bright in that sense, and it's just
Yeah.
really amazing, man. So, Chef Chris, I want to thank you, man, for coming on, brother. It was really such an honor
Absolutely,
to have
Matt.
you,
It was
and
an honor to be here.
I appreciate it. And again, guys, if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, if you enjoyed the show today, make sure you hit that like button. Share this with any chefs you know. We'd love to get more eyes on it. And again, subscribe to the Chefpreneur channel. And we'll definitely talk to you guys next week on our podcast. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.